Hi and welcome to my first video content on how I write, edit and polish a short story piece of original fiction for Patreon. I'm gonna start off by actually talking about a piece that was published in the Art of War anthology in 2018, I believe. This piece is called Flesh and Coin, and it was the first outing for my mercenary captain known as Stoneheart. So basically, why did I write about Sil, and why have I continued to write about Sil? Well, she is one of the most fun characters I probably ever created. In my longer fiction, there tends to be, we have the light-hearted characters, we have the humorous characters. You know, we have Ash, we have Chris from the Goblin trilogy. We've got the relationship between Shessa and Tyann in the Songs of the Drowned trilogy, and their sort of childhood friendship and in-jokes and bad puns and things like that. But I mean funny in a slightly different sense in the case of Sil. Sil Stoneheart is, well, she's a badass motherfucker. And she literally has the worst luck of any mercenary captain you could probably ever meet. I mean, she gives mercenaries a very bad name. She tends to stumble from disaster to catastrophe, to alehouse to tavern, and I wanted to write a character who, she's world weary, she's bitter, she's supremely good at her job, she just has the shittiest luck in the world. And to me, as the author, I just found it deeply amusing that I could just keep on throwing problem after problem at her, and maybe there's a sadist in me, but I quite like seeing her slowly crumble under each new challenge that she has to face. So in Flesh and Coin, we meet Sil Stoneheart and the Iron Blades, which is the name of her mercenary company, and they have been hired by a person called Tinker to retrieve unspecified goods from a wagon travelling through a pass at a specified time and place. So obviously none of it goes to plan, and I took great delight in not only in Sil being betrayed by the other mercenary company that she had hired in order to make sure the job went to plan. She wasn't only just betrayed by them, but they had actually allied with the third mercenary company that was guarding the wagon full of goods that they were supposed to steal. So she didn't just get double crossed, she got, I don't know, quadruple crossed or something. So it was a huge amount of fun to do that, and then to just throw in the twist halfway through that the mercenary company guarding the goods that Sil is supposed to steal is the mercenary company belonging to her mother. So she is then faced with her extremely estranged mother, I should point out, which is why they end up in a knife fight to the death, because sometimes there's just nothing for it but to stab somebody. So what was the inspiration for Sil Stoneheart? As I said, I just wanted someone who was extremely world weary, someone who was very good at their job, but someone who is just so jaded and tired of everything, that everything that happens to her, she is very much like, of course this has happened. Of course I'm going to be betrayed. Of course it's going to be my mother's mercenary company that I'm now going to have to be in a battle to the death with. Of course my mother's going to stab me in the chest. Why wouldn't she? With everything else that happens in my life, why would that not be a thing that happens? So, yeah, so I just, she's just so tired of everybody's shit. But she just won't give up. She is stubborn to a fault. She is, I mean, she's stubborn enough that it will, without doubt, get her killed one day. So that is basically the inspiration behind Seal Stoneheart. Instead of, you know, I wrote, this may come as a surprise to you, but I feel like I wrote quite a lot of hopeful characters in the Goblin trilogy. You know, Chris, Ash, Tara, even Mace, you know, even Rillarin, you know, once she escapes and she's back, she's safe for the first time, she does have a lot of hope that her life is going to improve for the better. Lanta's probably quite jaded, but she's also so locked in her mad quest for power that she doesn't care if she's jaded. Seal Stoneheart is just jaded. She is sick of the world and everybody in it, and if she could find a desert island with an unlimited supply of rum and decent food, she would go there and never leave and be perfectly content. So creating a character like that, oh hello, sorry, I've just been jumped on by a dog. Creating a character like that and then forcing that character to interact with dozens of people, not just her own mercenary company, but the people that she has to negotiate with in order to get contracts, the people she has to negotiate with and then kill in order to fulfill those contracts. You know, all of these things she is forced to make. All of these decisions, she's forced to be pleasant and personable, and really, deep down inside, she is literally snarling, fuck off and die, at every single person she meets. So, so that was the inspiration behind Seal Stoneheart. And when you've got a character like that, pretty much any conflict you put them in is always going to be a joy to write, because they don't want to be there, and everybody else knows they don't want to be there. Nobody else wants them there because nobody else wants her there because she's an annoying little shit and she's trying to kill you. So the conflict of then the item that she is supposed to steal in order to give to Tinker in return for gold. I'm trying not to spoil this too much, but it turns out to be an object that she absolutely is unprepared to deal with in that manner. She does still have one moral left, and that is the moral that Tinker expects her to abandon in order to fulfill this contract. So basically she gets into a massive scrap. She gets betrayed. She gets into a scrap with her mother's mercenary company. She gets stabbed by her mother. She stabs her mother. She then gets abandoned by her crew because they think she's going to die. And her final moral, her last surviving moral that is crying because it is all alone, has been compromised. So a conflict like that, or a series of conflicts like that, is just one of those reasons why she is so world weary. Things tend to escalate around Seal Stoneheart. They start off small, they get bigger and bigger and worse until she ends up being stabbed and abandoned on a dusty road in the middle of nowhere by her own people and her mother's people. So yeah, so that's the inspiration behind Sil Stoneheart in the story Flesh and Coin in the Art of War anthology. She has then had a second outing in issue 15, I think, of Grimdark magazine, when she was in a story called Just a Little Murder, which follows on from this story in as much as she's been stabbed and she's trying to save herself. And I then, excuse me, I then also wrote the short story Skitter, which is in Snafu Last Stand anthology, which was set before these times and before she actually becomes the captain of the Iron Blades. And when she's just a grunt within that mercenary company, and she ends up on an island infested by giant scorpions, which was a huge amount of fun to write because giant scorpions, and they're venomous, not poisonous, venomous. And because they're so big, their venom is so strong that when they sting you, you swell up and then you explode. Because why not? Because it's Sil Stoneheart and nothing good ever happens to her. So, if this has been interesting, I will go into more detail in following videos. I will talk about the actual writing process and the editing process. But if you are interested, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below somewhere. I don't know where. I've never done a video like this before. Sign up for my Patreon at any of the tiers. Only tier 4, the singers tier, is going to get you this kind of video content. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on Patreon soon. Thanks very much, guys. See ya. Can't turn it off.